All right. Hello, everybody. All right. Is my mic working? Can somebody let me know in chat? I have not streamed with this monitor before, so I had to reset up my OBS. Yep. Okay. Everything good? All right. So I have a bunch of different links. I have a bunch of different links for a diamond tennis bracelet. So we've got a round center, we've got some white rounds, champagne rounds, and champagne princess, plus all the different parts that go into. Do I have my mouse set up? Yes. Okay. They're pretty much the same link as far as connecting to each other. So the supports will be the same, and the way support works in printer software, you can't just share a support setup for one link to another. Plus, I also have to sprue all of these up. So the total links here is 8, 17, 19, plus the different mechanical components. So we're talking about 20, 21 links. Most of it shared supports. So I figured I'd do it in Rhino. So this is the size of a B950 printer plate. I'm going to create supports for the links, and then I also don't want to have to tree. You get your sprue, and then you put all of these different links on each of your runners. I don't want to have to deal with that either. So I'm going to try and print the entire runner and then just have it connect to my center sprue. So I figured doing all of that, I might as well do it in Rhino. And let's make a 0 layer just for reference. And that will go on our 0 layer, and we can just lock it so it can be there out of the way. And I'm going to bring the links in, build them here. Then up here, I'll take and put them into different runners. So I'm using a 3-inch sprue. So let's go ahead and put a circle in just for reference. That's 3 inches, 3-inch diameter. Now we don't want our parts to come within 1/4 inch of that wall. So I'm going to say 0.25 inches. All right, we don't want anything that close to the wall. The wall is a lot harder than the rest of the investment. I wrote a paper on resin casting that. Now hold on, YouTube's telling me something. All right, does the video look okay? Anas, you're in chat. It's telling me there's a problem with the way the video looks. Okay. Then I'm going to ignore what YouTube says. All right, my sprue is this little guy. Let's see what the diameter of it is. Sounds like somebody just joined the party chat, which is in the Discord. So I got a 6mm center sprue. So I'm going to make one more circle at the center that's just 6mm. Okay, so that means I have from here to there, there, to make the runners with parts coming off. I don't know how many I'm going to be able to fit on each one, but I'd like to make, you know, 3, maybe 4, at least 3, if not 4. Or with the tree, I could do this. So here's the center sprue. I could do 2, and then at this point have 2 going, you know, the other way, and then do 2, and then do 2. I don't know how I'm going to work that out yet, but this is just going to be, let me group that. And we can park this out of the way. I'll make a layer for that called Flask reference, and that can go on there. Okay, let's bring in the first part. Let's see, what do I want to start with? Let's just start with a regular link. So I'm going to insert this file, and I'm going to say it's linked with active references and just put it at 0. And let's pick a color that is easy on the eyes. No, that doesn't work. You can't change the color? Or maybe I have to, yeah, I have to do it like that. Okay. Okay, so all of our links will look like this. They have different stones for all the top sides, but made sure that our rivet connections all line up for each of the different ones. This was a time-consuming process to make all of these. All right, let's... So first thing, this is our second princess link. So I'm just going to quickly make sure, you know what, I should probably move that over to here so I can see it all in one view. Let's just make sure that this is 378 by 369. So I'm just going to do a measure distance. That's 378 by yeah, that's close enough. You know, I may want to do just take and type it in here. So 3.78 by 3.69, and then just hover it to make sure. That looks like it's the right one. Okay. And now we can go into designing the supports for this. So I'm going to rebuild this, but this is the essence of what my sprues are going to be. Runners for this particular part. Let's go ahead and delete that, and I'll start over. So basically, I want a circle that will be the bottom. Now the width on this is 269, and the height is 235, and that is the only solid piece. The rest of this is hollow. So that is my printing anchor, and also my sprue for metal flow. And so if it's 2.3 and 2.6, then I just need to be wider than 1 dimension, so I have good metal flow. So let's go ahead and put in a circle, and if it's 2.3, the bottom needs to be 2.5. And then basically I want a copy of this that's, let's say, 0.5 millimeter up. So somewhere right there. And I'm going to go ahead and rebuild this because I'm going to want to make these developable. I'm going to want to bend them to match surfaces. So I'm going to rebuild this as 312. Okay, and then I want 1, 2, 3 more, I think is a good number. And these I do not want history on. So I'm going to break history. I am working with lock children. So if I try and change something that has history, it will not change. It will just snap back. And that's so I don't accidentally break history on something. And then we want to do a normal loft. So let me go ahead and make a layer for this. And this is my sprue layer. And let's see, these are control curves. Sprue control. This is a curve layer. And let's loft this. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm going to do loft loose with do not simplify, because all of these have the same degree and number of control points. So the points for this will be the same as the points for that. Just makes it really easy to work with for copy and paste history. The bottom, I'm going to go ahead and make as a planar surface. And the top, I'm going to end up wanting to bend this to match certain things. This is flat, so I could just do a planar surface here. But on other parts, it will be curved. So I'm going to use a patch to fill this in. And I probably need like 7 on the spans. That's more than enough. And I'm using a curve, so there is no tangency option. I don't want tangency. I just want to make a cap that when I take and bend this, I want to grab that curve and hit bend. There's the end of my spine, and I'm going to say preserve structure yes, and add some symmetry. So when I bend it like that, this cap stays in place, and it will be a solid part that I can join up at the end. So these I'm going to put into a group, and that will go onto a surface layer. And I'm not going to need that. Undo that. Actually, the stuff that I'm not going to use, it'll keep coming back because of the way my layer script works. So I'm just going to minimize all that and keep it down there. Okay. I'm going to take and drag this way over here, and I'm going to copy, paste, and then move that from the center. I'm moving a copy. Oh, it can't find the center because I did a rebuild. Move that to the center of this shape. Now these, I think I want them to be, I'm trying to figure out how tall to make these. I started working on this and it really kind of went sideways, and I deleted everything and started over. I can't quite decide on the height. I know I'm going to want a runner down at the bottom. So a runner is going to look like this. If this is 2.5, we want to make this 2.75 or 3. Let's just go ahead and make it 3 millimeter. And then that's our runner. And then this guy is going to sit on top of that. And then our part is going to sit on top of that. And that's how I'm going to print it. But I also need sprues on here. So I think 3 millimeter. I said 3 millimeter. That is 6. Okay, that looks better. What is this that I just picked up? Oh, that is my little test. My little size test. Okay, and for this one, I only need one. I only have one princess that's that size. So it would just be right here. And then I'd put the next one right there and the next one right there. On and on and on down the line. So I need to make printing supports for the rest of this. And I just tried the EasyCast 200 resin from ResinWorks 3D. I'm not using Emerald, which I know how many supports to add. This I really dislike EasyCast 200 so far because you need a lot more supports. I have seen in like one test cast that it can cast some things a little easier. Some lettering on a part, it was able to cast some of those letters. So let's say you have 100 letters on a pendant. It's just a pendant full of text. One, you should be putting that letter on with a laser engraver. Two, if you are going to put it on in CAD with a resin printer, then with B9 Emerald, you're probably going to have breakout on like 25% of those letters. So out of your 100 letters, 25 of them will get broken out. I can look at it and say, well, that'll never cast in Emerald. So not even going to try. I'm just going to send it off for either a wax print on, what's the name of that new wax printer that everybody's buying? Doesn't matter. But there's a new wax printer that's much better than the old Solidscapes that a number of people are having. Joe JB Jewelry has one. Techform just bought one. Romanoff sells them. $50,000, size of a small car. I'm thinking about getting one. Probably not, but possibly. I would send it off for a wax print, or I'd make a rubber mold, or I would send it off for laser engraving and just not have... laser engraving can do deep letters, deep engraving on stuff. Send it off for that. With the Easy Cast 200, I was seeing better than that 25% failure rate with Emerald. One test, can't take a lot from it. Highly dependent on the way you orient the printing. Maybe 5 to 10%, as much. 5 to 10% of the letters break out. That's better than Emerald, but it's not perfect. It's an unusable casting. So what does it really get you? I don't know. I'm gonna try it. I'm trying it, but now I have to add extra supports because it's a wax based. I think B9 resin Emerald has a little bit of wax, but this is like 20% wax content. It's a very fragile resin. If you don't have a ton of supports on it, it will not grow. So I also have to figure that part out for this. But let me take this and just put it onto here and go ahead and say, all right, well, one, this needs to shift down because we can't have our part that close to the center sprue. Let's put this right on the end. Actually, it would be like that, and then we'd use some wax to fill in the difference. And then how far do I want this off of the center sprue? Maybe up to there. So that means the last part I can have. Let's grab all of this, and bring it down. And I don't want my part getting any closer to the end, so this end should be like right there. Okay, so this is, let's make a layer for this called runner. And I'm going to put that on the runner layer. And add this to that group. Okay. So now the question is, how many parts can I get in? And maybe I have some of them face like this and some of them over here on the other side like that, so I can stagger, get them a little bit closer together, packed in on this runner. But we'll see. For the time being, we're going to go with this. So I know my base, you know what? Let me put this on a special layer so that I have a feeling that I'm going to want to grab these later. So let me come over here to sprue, and under control, I'm just going to take and reuse this and say this is our base curve. Base control. Case control. Base control. And I need to do that for, you know what? I'm going to blow that away. No, I'm not going to blow that away. I'm going to put that on base control while I'm thinking about it. But whatever I do over here, I'm going to copy and reuse for all my other links that look like this. And there's a lot of links that look like this, just with different stone sizes. And let's get this in place. So I'm going to lock this so I'm not messing with it. And I'm going to lock my surf. So not hide, lock my surf so I'm not messing with it. And lock curves so I'm not accidentally grabbing something I can't edit. This let's put on to 0 because that's locked so it doesn't get in the way. And this we can just tell to fuck off so it doesn't get in the way. Okay. So this top curve, how big do I want it to be? Probably something like that. We want it to not touch anything so we can center it on the solid. This one we want to neck down. So we'll probably take it to like that and make it closer. Oh, and you can also take these curves and say it's something front. Bring to front. So you can always see them even if they're behind something. All right. Now the only thing is you can't see the control points. I'll turn ghosted mode on over here. So you can see there are control points and you can click on them. But you can't, well, I guess if you know exactly where it is, you can click on it. But it's a pain that bring to front. Bring to front does not show you the control points. There is a test command for that in Rhino 8, but it's kind of it's a little dodgy. But I just want to neck it a little bit so we get smooth metal flow. I don't want it to be kind of a sharp corner right where it intersects. So I'm going to do like that. And then for this one, maybe we make it a little bit bigger. And now it's not touching on the edge. So I'll bring that back just a little bit. And our neck, we can go like that. Okay, so there is our sprue. This is a bigger cross section than our most solid part here. We give it a little bit of a necking for metal flow. And there we go. All right, so that is going to be our sprue for this one. And now we need supports. Now, supports for this. We need something coming off of the base. So draw a curve off of the base. And then up here at the top, we need a tip. because what you want is your support to come up and have that neck right where it touches. So here's your part. As your part, you want this to have a little bit of extra material in here so that if this gets wiggled, it'll snap right there outside of the part. That's easy to sand off. If you bring that neck right up to the part and it snaps, it acts like glass. So when this thing snaps, it's going to start somewhere around here, but then it could go ragged in a number of different directions. You don't want it to snap off and scour out some of your part. You want to leave a little bit of a nub on top of the part that's easy to sand off rather than have a divot that you have to fill. So we want this to have a neck just above the surface, and we also want it to be pretty much as wide as the surface. So let's see how wide this is. Let's go to a back view, bottom view, top, bottom, and let's measure the width of this. I think it's like 0.6. Yeah, 0.6. So that's how big we want our nub to be. We're going to say 0.6, and that was radius. Okay. So we want it on the surface like this, and then we can make it a little bit flatter. So we know we want that. And then we need the support that comes up to it. So we can go over here and say pipe. And it needs to end a little bit smaller than 0.6. So let's go with a diameter of 0.9 at the base and 0.5 at the top. Let's see how that looks. And put that onto there. And I'm going to set Y so it's right on there. Okay. I don't quite like this. Let's bring that up a little bit more, and let's try that pipe again. Let's go 1 at the base, 0.5, 0.45 at the top, but then let's give it another diameter right here that's 0.7, no, 0.6. Okay. Not enough necking. Let's try that again. 1.3 and then a 0.7 right there. And this is starting to annoy me. That I can't get it exactly how I want it. So we might do something like this just to get this figured out. Yep, we're going to do something like that. So I'm going to come over here and grab this. And right now it's on the sprue layer, so I'm going to rename this to sprue X. I'm going to take all of this, unlock the stuff that's locked, take all of this, copy, and then I'm going to undo that so this stuff goes back to locked, and undo until my name change is undone. And then I can paste, and now I've got this sprue X that's going to be our runner support. And we can recolor that, recolor runner to, no, recolor support. Let's grab the next color out here. Let's just go blue. Okay. Drag this over. And I'm going to do the same thing where curves is locked and base control needs to be at the bottom. So let's set Z to 0. Z is at 0. Okay, so our base... No, we don't lock base control. We lock surface. Okay. Let's bring this over onto that point. So I'm going to move from there and see if we can hit the center of this thing. Okay, so our top here, if that's 0.6, let's make this 0.3 and drag that up inside of there. This one, you know what, let's grab all of these curves and just say we're going to start them off at 1 millimeter. This can be like 0.8. This can be 0.7. And we can get the how much of that taper we can lock that in like this. So we've got our touch point, and then we've got how much of a taper we want. That's touching the bottom, and that will be our support. Now, I'm going to need another little touch point for this one. Let me take and put that onto, actually I want this to be on a different surf. I don't want to reuse that surf layer. Duplicate layer. Call this tip and give it a slightly different color. Put that onto tip. Okay. And it can be part of surf, so I don't have to lock them individually. There we go. Okay, I think this will work. We've got our necking. It's a pretty big touch point, so our wax should be okay. Actually, you know what? I think I want to take, it's extending over the side just a little bit. So I'm going to bring that, let's see. Let's do scale 3D and bring that down to 5.5. Because I don't want it to go over my fillet. Okay. Now I'm going to start 3D coat, and I'm going to reuse these, but in kind of a weird way. So first I'm going to move this onto, move this to 0, move from there. We're going to put that onto 0. I'm going to grab that and that. I'm going to copy and paste it and then drag a copy over here so I can get back to there. What happened? Oh, something was locked. Undo, 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 paste. Got to unlock everything when you do copy paste history because this was locked, so I wasn't able to copy it, wasn't able to paste it. And so when I dragged the copy version over here, there was only ever one of these. So it was still using that one in the definition of the loft. Copy, paste, drag that over. Now I've got a copy where all of this still has history on it. But this one, I'm going to go ahead and break history, join, and export it out to 3D Coat. And I'm going to undo back to breaking history. Okay, so this should all have history on it again. But meanwhile, over in 3D Coat, I'm going to bring in that import into voxel space, import as child, scale 2250, apply, yes, let's go to fill, and I'm going to leave these as separate parts. I'll just do one smooth all on that, and one smooth all on that, and go ahead and decimate it. So we can decimate this by, let's say, 95. And we could turn on wireframe and see like, oh, that still has, that's plenty of triangles. Let's decimate that again. Let's just go straight to 99. Okay, it's round, it's the right shape. Make sure that it is intersecting with our tip. It is intersecting with our tip, but not enough. Okay, let me come back over here. I'm going to have this come up to the center. That smooth all, you'll see why in a minute when I start using this thing. But that smooth all was rounding. I definitely want it to intersect with this. Okay, that looks good. Break, join, export to 3D Coat, undo to there. Make a new layer, go ahead and delete this one and drag that file back in. I have these made up for B9 Emerald, but not for this one, EasyCast 200, so I'm going to make these with bigger touch points all the way around. Let's do a smooth all on that, smooth all on that, and then go to surface mode and decimate, and decimate. I think that is going to be too much for the little tip. Yep. So let's decimate this one to 90. 80. Okay. You know what? I just realized something. I'm going to decimate that one to 80. No, that's too much. Tip. We're going to decimate at 80. And this one I'm going to decimate at 90 because at 99 there weren't enough layers like this, and I will be bending these. Well, you can't bend a flat triangle, so if you don't have enough triangles, if the triangles are too long and you try and bend it, it just isn't going to work. So I'm looking to see if I have enough kind of striations of triangles so that when I bend it, those triangles can actually make it around a curve. And that looks like it's good. So I'm just going to save this as a temp file. No, don't decimate it anymore. It's already decimated. And now I can drag in this temp file. And I want to import. I don't want it to be a block because I'm actually going to deform it and bend it and move it around. So I'm going to import it and put this on an island. So I'm going to move it from 0 to, I should have a snap out here somewhere. There we go. And then this can go away. Okay. So let's make a new layer called support, and this is a mesh version. That and that are going to go onto surf. And then I'm going to need 2 curves here. So one curve I think I want to be below the surface, like this. One I want to be at where my touch point ends up. So that would be the middle of here going, I'm just going to make it go all the way up. And then we want a blend between the two. So I'm going to say blend curve from here to there. And on 2, I just want it to match on position. And 1, let's say curvature. Okay, so now when this moves, that will bend over to it. So these are going to be our controls for support mesh. I'm going to bump this out and call it blend. I'm going to copy that, paste, and move that from here down to there. And delete those 2. Nope. Delete this one. And what we're going to do is say, I need Ghosted to do this. I'm going to say flow, preserve stretch from this curve to that curve. And I'm going to flow this rigid with no stretch from this curve to that curve. So what this will do is this button will always be top side. It'll always match this direction. So if my surface is slanted, I can turn it. Let me turn. If my surface is slanted, I can turn this and it will match the direction of the surface because I want that button to be half in the surface, half out. And then our tip will neck to it. We can show wireframe. What is that? Display mesh wires. And this is why I needed a lot of triangles, because if I tried to do that how with the original amount, it would have not been pretty. But this will always give us a neck, and we can orient this button to be, whatever surface we're working with, we can orient it through the center by having these 2 different kinds of flows. Rigid without stretching, and then preserve structure. We're not going to change the number of triangles. You don't even have to say preserve structure. It's a mesh. You could just say flow. You don't have to say... you can just say regular flow, but you do want stretch on because the length of this curve will be changing. I did not say stretch. Regular flow with stretch from there to there. What? I must have been clicking on a mesh wire. Regular flow stretch from this curve. Oh, I'm clicking the bottom. That's why. Regular flow stretch from there to there. And if we want, I mean, that's just going to control where the bottom of it is. Okay, so let's set this back, set XY to there so it's straight up and down. And I did not stretch this one so I could see the top of it through the part because we want to be working in shaded mode. Turn mesh wires back off. Okay, so this is kind of our construction and this is our application. So let's move this. Let's move it from that curve and let's plop it on a corner like this. And it needs to start down here on the base, but then it needs to come up to the surface. So I'm just going to move this from that endpoint right to where the surface is. And now our button is right there. Should these be grouped? I think so. Copy, paste, drag this down. What did I not copy and paste? Copy, paste, drag it down. Okay, I did it right that time. So this one we want to move over slightly. And then if we want these two bases to be at the same spot, we can just grab the base. I sub-object select. We can just sub-object select the base and boop. And now they will, well, set XY. Now they will share the same base and split up at the top. And I think blend curvature was too much. So let's edit this and say edit this. And instead of saying, let's just go with tangency. Paste another one, drag it down, and I should probably get that centered on here and recopy that one. Now if we put this in the center of the link, we're going to get to a point where we can do some symmetry. This top one, let's drag it over a little bit more so they're equally spaced. Let's take both of those, drag them over so that's centered. Okay, I'm going to come back to our construction one here and just grab this point. I think they're sticking a little too proud of the surface. So I'm just going to take that and move it up just a hair, up, down just a hair. and set those inside a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to use something that I built myself. You can do this with regular Rhino mirror, but I have a little tool where I can just plop down a 1x1 plane, little 1x1 plane, and this acts as a little mobile construction plane, because what I'm going to do is take, I should probably group these so I don't have to always grab both. Group, and let's do that over here as well. Oh, that won't work. I'd have to do it after the flow. Okay, so I'm going to take these two and I want to mirror them. What it's doing is it's mirroring across the plane and then across this, the UN and the VN, but not the UV. UV would mirror it up to there. I don't want to do that, just across here. I'm going to group them all at the end. It does, it's my own script. It is flipping the mesh normal, and I'm not correcting that in the script. It's on the to-do list. This one we are going to flip across there. And now what this does is if this moves, that changes the base of the transform, which is quite useful in a lot of things. Okay. Now we need to do this, which is a smaller tip, but we kind of want the same support. What happens if I just take this, ungroup that, just take this and this. So now I'm copying the source and the destination. Copy, paste. Let's move those both up 10. And then over here, let's make this touch point half of what it is. Just down to a little nub. And that little nub, how does that fit? Let's say set XY to here. Little nub needs to be a little taller up. Okay, that looks about the right size. And then our construction over here, let's just do a cage edit. Bounding box. And that seems good because we just want to take the top of it here. And do a little scale 2D, bring it down, maybe a little bit more, and then have this. Okay, so now we've got two versions of this. And what I should do also is take this guy, copy, paste, and move him over to here so we have one of these. With history next to our construction. And then let's copy and paste one of these little ones. Copy, paste. So we have an extra one of these just in case. Now over here, let's set this Y to here and see if we can just mirror this across. Group that. Let's do that to these guys over here as well. Group. Group. I'm worried that we may need one in here. I don't know how this wax does. This EasyCast 200, I just don't know how it does. But if that's the case, let's try and move this base like over to here. And let's take another one of these, copy, paste, and then do a set XYZ to like here, and then take the base and set XYZ to there. And mirror that down to there. All right, let's paste another one and deal with the tongue. So let's do set XYZ to there. The tongue, the whatchamacallit, the rivet, the female rivet. Oh, but we also have our sprue that needs to be on here. Let's move that. Well, give me a center off of that. There we go. And the center needs to be onto here. Okay. So that has to print onto there, and I really don't want my supports touching. So let's try and back this off to like there. So that's not touching. I think that's okay for it to bend that much. Oh, but I don't need this side to do the same. And this one we can back off over to there. All right, so maybe all the things I did to set this up seemed a little bit weird and odd, but I knew where I was going. Nobody else knew where I was going. Now that I'm here, I'd love to know what you guys think about it. And I'm taking extra time to do this because I'm going to reuse this part for most of the links. Most of the links will use this same kind of setup. Let's Okay. So one person is appreciating. That's a good sign. I'm going to take and redo this edge on its own. And let's take, remove from group all of these guys, and then put those back into a group, a single group. And I'm going to copy all three of these, paste. Oop. Yeah, that was right. I'm going to copy all of these guys, copy, paste, and I'm going to do a mirror without copy. So I've got copy off. I'm going to mirror and put that over there, and I did not copy something. Undo that paste. Let's see. I don't think I got the blends in. That tip didn't make it over to there either. Okay. Let's fix this. Bring back our little mirror plane here. Okay, so this tip did not make it over. So I'm going to go ahead and mirror that across. Let's go ahead and get rid of any group information. And then I don't want my blends to be in the group, so I'm going to turn the blends off. Grab that, tell it to group, and then make sure I turn those blends back on because I'm going to do a copy and paste next. Copy, paste, and then do the mirror without copy. And now this has history on the other side. Okay, turn everything back on. Okay, so which one is our... That looks like it's the micro one. This looks like it's our bigger one. Okay. Now, I don't think we need this one on the corner. Okay, I've got all the parents this time, and I'm going to take and drag that one out. I accidentally ungrouped these guys, so I can't tell which one goes to which. I guess I can just grab one and move it, and that'll tell me. Okay, that one goes with that one. So I'll do set XYZ to there. And this one, set XYZ to there. Okay, I may not need this one, so I'm going to move it out of the way and just see if maybe... Oh, I got rid of the, I wanted to keep these. Okay, make sure this is centered on the wall. You know what? I should put these on a different layer. Oh, that's a good idea. So I can turn it off and just see the nubs and know that my supports are going to touch the nubs. Okay, let's move this one like to there and move this one to there and just not have a support on the corner. Maybe we can stretch these out a little bit. So that they're equally spaced. A little distribute auto on the X. Now they're equally spaced. That little tip there, yeah, I think that works. And then take both of those and scale them to nothing. Can I do it? Pretty close to nothing. Okay, let's get rid of this group info so we can take and delete those. Okay, so we are dodging our runner. We've got a sprue, we've got this. I think we're good. Now I do want to take and put these onto, let's see, so our support mesh under surf. Oh, I do have those. Cap. Okay, so I want to take the caps. Take the caps and do select children. Children. So that's all the button caps. So we're going to put those onto the cap layer. And then take the bottoms. Select children. Oh, they're already on the surf layer. Okay, but now I can take and turn the surf off and just see the caps, even though these are inside out because of a bug in my programming. But now I can see their placement easier when I'm trying to analyze this. And the surfaces are still there. Okay. So this all needs to be saved so I can use it for the next one and the next one and the next one. Let's unlock stuff. All right, that's that. Okay, I'm just going to yeet this out into space. Let's turn that off. I am going to need this plane. I'll stick it on the blend layer because I don't think that'll be a confliction. Okay. Do I have any of these locked? I need to make sure I don't have anything locked. So I have a little script that just turns everything on. This, I want to copy all of this. Okay. Now I can take and move this up to here, paste, and now I'm ready for the next link. Do I need to keep all of the history on it? I don't think I do, because all of these links have the same kind of sorry, we're closed. It's Sunday, and there are a bunch of people talking outside my window. Looks like they're just passing by. Okay. Think. I am never going to want to edit this again afterwards. So I do not need to take everything with history and move it over. I can just take a copy of it over. So I'm going to undo all of that I just did. This, I'm going to make a copy of this. I can't make a copy of that plane. Because that plane has our mirrors on it. So it's got to be the same plane. Okay. I am going to yeet this off because I shouldn't have to edit anything else on it. So yeet that over there. And then I'm going to take all of the controls, which are all curves, hide that. So now this should just be meshes and surfaces. 3 surfaces, 30 meshes. We're going to put that into a group, and it's going to be over here on this plane. Now I will copy this plane, paste, and move it back to 0. To 0. Okay, so I can take this group and just make a copy of it with flow rigid. We're going to flow rigid from this plane to that plane, and that will get us our copy. Here is our link. Let's copy this so I don't have to bring that in next time. And then we'll just take and move all of that up to there. Paste that back in. So now this has history on it. This is the construction. And then we can bring in our next link. So, can you explain to us how you can, how can we draft angle a solid face? Draft angle a solid face. So there is something in extrude. You can extrude curve tapered or surface tapered. So you can take this and you can give it a draft angle. So this is 5 degrees. So as it goes up, it will get 5 degrees narrower. And do like that. And now you've got a draft angle from a solid face. I think you have to do solid if you want it to be a solid piece when you're done. But the problem with this is once you get to a certain point, you can't go below 5 degrees anymore. But this gives you a... So that's extrude surface tapered. And if you just had a curve, do border, break. You can do the same thing with a curve. If you say extrude curve tapered, draft angle Yeah, leave it at 10. And that will give you a 10 degree. You have a cube and you want to draft a side. So I'm just not. Um, what language do you speak, Metin? Anas. Anas, you in party chat? Metin, when Anas gets back, he will translate. Okay. Anas, have a private conversation with Metin in the Discord, and you can translate and tell me. Just hop in a party chat and tell me what his question is, and I'll see if I can answer it. Okay, back to this. Ba-ba-ba-ba. All right, the rest of these links should go pretty quick because we have our base. So let's go with our next import, and our Z on this is 5014. I wish it was just 5. I should have done just 5. Oh, man. That way I could always just take and bump that to 5. Oh, never mind. Bump this up 5. Now it's 4986. That's odd. Okay, think. I want to bump this up to 5. But it only goes to 4986. Okay, so I just need to move all of this down by that difference. So if I go over here to my construction, turn everything on, take the tops of these, and take the top of that. Okay, so that's all of the tops. And then we take this and we move it from here to here. That updates all of the history and everything is back to yay. Okay, so now when I plop them in, I just move them up 5. And that should all be there, and that'll work with, it's not enough to change really this. Okay, make sure that this is the right link. So this one should be our 3.84 by 3.91. our top view here and take and make sure that this matches up. That looks like it's the right size. Okay, so we've checked our size. Oh, I was also thinking about this. Having to figure out which one is which in the finished project. I kind of want to put like a little marker on here to tell me which one's which. Like, it's easy to distinguish between princess and rounds, but I'm thinking maybe like a little dot on the side. Like, I just put like a little braille dot on the side right here by the rivet, because they've got to solder in the rivet, so they're going to have to solder and sand this no matter what. So this little mark in the interim, not a big deal, and it would tell the setter which stone it was. The first one's easy because that's part of the clasp. So if this was 2.3, 4, 5, 6, and once we get to 3, we could use the mirror plane to go to the other side. So I could just have 1, 2, 3. How big is this thing? It may need to be a little bit bigger to be readable. Not that big. 1, 2, 3. And if we need more, break history. If we need more, we can always mirror it to the other side. So this is I don't need so we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be 2. Copy, and I'm gonna let's make a layer for these dots. Let's move this 5 so I can move it back 5 to copy. Copy, paste, -5. Okay, and I'm just going to flow. I'm going to flow rigid without copy from there to there and just group these two. Is it inset the right amount? Did I look at that? Yeah, that's inset the right amount. Okay. I'll just take those two and group. So that is my first princess. Take 2 of these, copy, paste, -5. Take and group that. I don't want to do that yet. Okay. What layer is this on? Why is this gray? Oh, there's a stray triangle in there. Oh well. Okay. I want to copy that and then move this up here because that one's done. Paste. We take in this guy, flow rigid with copy. There to there. You know what? I should just copy this. Move that down 10? No. Move that down 20, and then I can just copy and move that back. Okay, let's bring in our next block. P4. Bump that up 5. This will have 3 bumps. -5. Put this on our blocks layer. And check our size. So this should be the third one. 1, 2, 3. That's 387. 3.87 by 4.02. And we'll see if this is the right size. Try it the other way. Yep, that's the right size. Okay, so now this one's done. Copy, paste, -20, bring in the next block. Bring that up 5. You know what? Instead of having to bring those up 5 every time, let's just take all this and say -5. One less step in the process. That goes on to blocks. Okay, now I need 4 dots. So I'm going to take one of the dots and mirror it to the other side. That gives me 4 dots, and this one should be 4.15 by 3.97. Let's see if this matches. That appears to be a match. So that one's done. Move that up. Copy, paste, -20. We will need 5 dots. So I'm going to go ahead and mirror this to the other side. No, I can't do that. I've got to copy this. -5. Then take 2 of them and mirror to the other side. And bring in our last princess block. Set that onto blocks. Check our size. We've got a 4.1 by a 4.14. That is the right size. Okay. So boom, there's all of our princess blocks. Let's go ahead and try and put these on a sprue. So let's take and do like that. Oh, it's got to be on the sprue. Okay, let's bring this to 0. No, these are not on, well, screw it. We can move these from here to 0. This can come down. Okay, and this is where I was thinking that we could do like a 180. And be able to fit more in. Yeah, like that. Just go ahead and group these. Will distribute work with groups? Let's see. If I take all of these and say distribute, take all of these and say distribute auto on the Y. Yes, distribute works with groups. How nice is that? That is wonderful. Oh, I think this can go all the way to the edge though. Yeah. Okay. Distribute auto on the Y. All right. So there's a nice runner with all the parts. I think I like it. All right, let's grab this and copy. Paste. And then move all of this over onto our print bed and then start working on the next group. Okay, so over here we've got 6 different sizes, but we will need one of these as part of the clasp. I should just go ahead and bring the clasp in. Let's drop in the box part of the clasp. Insert. I was importing those instead of inserting. Does that matter? Shoot. I really wanted to insert them because if I have to change this, there's a good chance I have to change this. Like, we go and start doing a test fit and there's something wrong with one of these blocks. I've got to replace it. Do I really want to? I didn't want to have to go through all this again. So if I changed the base, I've got history over here, so I could modify that a little bit if I needed. Doggone it. I've been importing instead of inserting. Oh, how tragic. There's no name on it. Well, I know this one is P2. That should be P3, P4, P5, P6. Anas, did you take care of Metin? Metin? I did that one right. Let me bring this one in. Insert, file, linked, active, okay. He's not in Discord. Did you understand his question? Okay, so that's this mesh. Let's go ahead and delete that. And we could take this block and just flow rigid without copy from here to there. Okay. Okay. Well, tell him if he gets on Discord that you can help him, or we can both get in there. You can translate for me. Okay, so now I've got blocks. I should add this to that group, add to group that one, add to group that one, add to group that one, add to group that one. Okay. All right, not too bad. Not too bad of having to fix that. Let me bring in the clasp. So here is going to house our tongue. All right, this is the cutout. These are just some supports. Our bracelet tongue is going to go like that into there. So this is the tongue part of our catch. Let's move that. I'm just going to stick that somewhere down here for the moment. Copy, paste, -20. Then the box. So this is the box. Our tongue will come in here. The tongue latch will go there. Like that. This is our safety. Bring in the safety. See, if this safety doesn't work for some reason and I gotta redo it, I kind of want to keep my supports where I can quickly edit them and not have to do all of this again. So let's drop that over to somewhere like right there. But this stone is a 3.2 and this one is our first princess. And those two will go together. Yeah. Those two go together like that. And our center link. Bring that in. And we've got one stone bigger than the rest. That's our center. So the rivets are going to run this way all the way to here. And they're going to run off of here all the way to there. And then the tongue is how it all closes. Copy, paste, -20. Move from 0 down to there. All right, so back to the rounds. We need one of those, 4 of those, 1 of those, 3, 5, 3. I think I want an extra round of how long have we been going so far? It doesn't tell me how long we've been going. Okay, I think I put part 1 because I knew this was going to be a pain in the ass that would I might want to take a 30-minute break and start stream up again and after a little bit of a break. So we're rolling now. These will have to be done separate, but it'll be pretty straightforward. The rounds, I just got to think about how to do the duplicates and make sure I get the right number of duplicates. So I think what I want to do is take like a 30-minute break, stretch my legs, make sure that I have this clear in my head before I do it so I don't have to undo it. And then I will start the stream back up as part 2. And we'll finish it out and get it on the printer. All right. I'm going to end stream and I will be back with part 2 in about 30 minutes. I will ping in the Discord. All right.